Good evening, San Carlos. Now, I know this isn't going to post on the Sunday because we don't have any successful data. In fact, it's become a big problem for me. I mean, I don't even know if people have sent me any PayPal or cheap cash because I can't log into either one. But today's post is Sunday. Blessed Sunday to those of you out there. Sorry about the delay, but I don't want to break the series up because I know I've got about 5 or 6 of you folks who actually have sent me private emails asking about this series, and I am going to deviate off of the original sins only thing, right? But I am going to talk about still something that is cautioned about, and that is this Sunday's sermon is about overindulgence. Because it seems to be very rampant, no matter where you are in the world. You know, if you're a Westerner and you've come to the Philippines, your overindulgence is probably the ladies or drink. Luckily, narcotics are really strictly mandated and regulated and punished here, which I actually is part of why I'm here. In the West, no matter where you are, small town, big town, you know what it is. I mean, there's junkies everywhere. The cops all have Narcan on them. You know, it's not getting any better. I was incredibly pleased to see the Premier of Manitoba this week do a big announcement about forcing junkies into rehab. Long overdue. And ironically, he's an NDP, which is a far left party. So to hear that from them means even they have come to the realization that I was preaching a decade or two ago, that you can't allow junkies to make decisions for themselves. I personally think when you have a heavy drug addiction, you should lose your adult status. You go back to being a minor in every case of the word. So if you're screwing a junkie, it's like screwing a 12-year-old. Like, you should be punished because you're taking advantage of someone who's not in their right state of mind. Right? And overindulgence isn't just, I'm not going to get into, sloth, which is like food and things like that. I'm going to keep it into the things that affect the mind. So drugs, alcohol, women, by far. And it's become the main driving force for so many people in their life to just acquire these things to overindulge in. They're never happy. They never have enough. And with addictions, I mean, I don't believe the whole marijuana is a gateway drug, blah, blah, blah. But it can be for weak people because, you start smoking a lot, you need to smoke more, or you need to smoke better stuff to get the same high you did that very first time. And for people who know me from the political channel and from other venues, I used to smoke marijuana all the time. In fact, I helped get it legalized in Canada. I was one of the original pushers of a party that was just single issued that. And only because I don't feel it's a good use of government resources to go after people and put them in jail and ruin their lives because they're smoking a bit of weed. If tobacco is around, alcohol is around, pharmaceuticals, which have so many side effects, are heavily more addicted, is around. People don't smoke marijuana and go out and cause fights. They sit at home, get fat, eat a sandwich, maybe catch diabetes. Still a bad thing. And when I'm over here in the Philippines, I don't miss it at all. It's like when I visited Thailand for like a month and a half every year. I wouldn't smoke then because under the old king, it was highly illegal. Like, I mean, you get caught with just some shake in the bottom of your bag, you're going to do 6 months in a Thai prison, right? So I support those kinds of initiatives only because it protects the youth. Because that's really who suffers in overindulgence the most, is the youth. If they're young and they start doing these things, then their life in the future won't be any good or productive. It's why you have 2 or 3 generations in the West just completely useless. They're never going to do anything productive with their lives. And I know people say, oh, I'm a so-and-so, I'm a counselor from this town, and I used to be a junkie. The town you're a counselor of is not that important or great, and you haven't done anything good for the town because it's still infested with junkies. I'm not going to give an example because I don't want to be a hater like that, but that's just one example I personally know of. And there are some very rare cases of people who get their shit together, but I used to call it demon possession. The big ones, heroin, crack, meth, because even if you do stop, you remember what it was like. Your brain still craves it, and that's why there's so much relapses. And I don't think that criminal punishment is the answer. It just isn't, because it's a waste of resources. Unless those facilities are also, and I know this is a big no-no, work facilities, places where you're forced to educate, forced to clean up, and yes, you provide a service to the communities that you were once part of. Be it street cleaning, raking leaves in public areas, picking up garbage, whatever. But I don't want to stray too far off overindulgence. Overindulgence, let's use drink for example, tends for people to drink too much and their personality changes. Even me, I'm not a real violent drunk. Unless someone starts it, then I'll definitely step up to the plate because I lose some of my inhibition, some of my logic. And that's for a lot of people. Also, sometimes things, like especially I'm not going to genderize and put it in one gender or not, but for some people, they become much more open-minded, let's say less inhibited, and they might do things with people that they're not supposed to be doing them with. And I'm not talking so much like minors and that kind of thing, I mean more like you're married, but yet you're still going to go home with the girl from the bar. Or you with the guy from the bar. And where it affects youth, if they're not the direct users, say, but they're the children of people who overindulge, then those children are neglected. I know moms who are potheads hard, who they don't cook dinners for their kids anymore, and if they do, it's at like 10:30 at night on a school night. What the fuck? That kid should be asleep by 9. So they make the bus the next morning and they're not tired at school, right? But people get into a almost depressed state, even though they're medicating themselves. It isn't fixing the problem. In fact, it spirals out further. And that's where, of course, it leads to harder use. And then if you can't afford those drugs, now in Canada, we give them away for free, or close to free. Methadone is, here's your prescription, go get it, right? And we wonder why we don't have workers in the West. And we have to import people from places like here in the Philippines and India and other places where they still have sober people who want to work, because we don't have any workers. I hired so many young people in my businesses over the years who just have zero skills. And some of them it's because they were already hard into drinking and drugs, while they were still unable to legally do such things. Or they came from homes that were. So those parents aren't teaching their kids skills. They're too busy hiding in their smoking room or coming home really late drunk, and so they don't spend quality time educating and teaching and mentoring their children. Also, what do their children learn? Well, they see what their parents do, so it makes it more likely for them to follow those same examples. Now, I don't think that anything is really bad in moderation. I mean, because it's a Sunday sermon, let's use the Bible as an example. If it's naturally made by the Lord, then indulging in it in moderation is acceptable. And of course, that's why you'll see Christians who smoke weed, Christians who smoke tobaccos, Christians who even drink a bit. I mean, shit, the Catholic Church serves wine, right? I mean, Christ turned water to wine, not to grape juice, to wine, right? So the reality is not that these things are bad. It's how the people doing them abuse them. And I do use the term abuse. I know it's a regular Western term, but it's fitting. And people who have family members, friends, who have fallen into this overindulgence. I mean, I know you want to be that friend who says, oh, I'm going to help, I'm going to get them clean, I'm going to blah, blah, blah. Very rarely does that work out for you. Either that person, because they're not ready to get clean, they're not ready to stop drinking, just takes advantage of your Samaritanism, takes advantage of your generosity, takes advantage of your efforts, and sours the friendship, the familyship, the relationship. I know families in the West that will not let their late teen or early adult children ever even near the house because they're heavily drug addicted. They've brought people in the house many times to steal things or hurt them, beating up grandma to steal money from her or steal gold for her so you can go and sell it to buy crack, right? This is incredibly common, especially in Canada, and I'm sure in big cities in America the same thing. And that's part of why I like it over here, is that level of craziness was stopped by a responsible punisher, a man who said, no. And I'm not going to waste a lot of money and time letting the solution overrule the results. Now, I think of the millions and millions and millions of Filipinos who have been saved by that incredibly brave act. And I, shake my head in just bewilderment when world governments full of people, leaders, weak leaders, who won't do these things, even have the audacity when their country is falling apart and just completely addicted, overindulged, have the gall to even suggest that their idea is better. Results prove results, right? If you have a certain policy for 25 years and it does nothing but make the problem worse, clearly your policies are wrong. If you can have a policy for 2 years that fixes the problem, I think that's the right answer, right? Now, I definitely don't want this to become a political chat, because overindulgence only starts with the idea that you need to have government protections to stop the people from destroying themselves. Biblically, that's not how it was. You are where it starts. The person who's doing these things, who is overindulging. And I don't know if you want to just limit it to alcohol and drugs. I mean, you're eating too much chocolate and becoming a diabetic. I mean, it's the same shit. Overindulgence is overindulgence is overindulgence, right? I mean, anything can be bad in excessive quantities. And anything can be bad if it starts to change the way you deal with society and manage your own household and life. Including religion. I've seen people go born again and just get crazy about it. Sorry, slight cough. I picked up a little bit of a cold during this power outage. But it's one of these things where, if you let any kind of concept or substance drastically deviate you from a path of success, it leads to, increased bouts of procrastination and depression, then clearly you are overindulging. It's that simple, Like, there's a show called Young Sheldon, right? And the mom in it is a religious nut job. And some of the decisions that mom makes over the show's course of action clearly have a negative effect. But it's because it's a comedy, it's played off as, no, it's okay. Over-religious isn't too bad. Unless, of course, it's like the kind where they put vests on and blow themselves up, and of course that's too bad. I don't think it has to go to those extremes to be too bad. Like I said, if it starts to affect your household and your ability to succeed and thrive, you're overindulging. That's simple, right? Now, for me, my main vice over here isn't women, because, it is what it is. I have a woman and a beautiful baby, I'm happy. I don't do any narcotics, I piss clean. I don't even take pharmaceuticals when I get sick. Like, I'm boring according to some of my friends, but I do drink, not a lot because I can't afford to, bottom line. Now, if I had $1 million in my account, would I be pissed drunk every day? No, because if I had $1 million in my account, I'd be doing things, I'd be being productive, right? So for me, drinking is a sign of depression, in the sense that I got nothing else to do. I don't see any better use of my time, so I might as well drink. And I come from a genetic Irish background. This is not a video about slandering the Irish and drinking. It's just a regular scientific fact. Certain genes lead to certain results. And for me, luckily I'm not an angry Irish drunk. I'm a happy-go-lucky, singing a lute, flirt with the sleuths, right, kind of guy when I'm drinking. Oh, we just lost power. You see, it never lasts long now the cyclones happen. And we had another one last night. It was a little mini one, and now we're getting another one tonight, and another one on Wednesday. So we're just not getting any good luck whatsoever when it comes to the weather. So I want to shut my computer off because I'm working on many projects, and I want to make sure I can keep typing without losing all the power. But no, overindulgence is it's a lack of personal discipline. Spotting your own weaknesses, spotting your own failures, and saying to yourself, okay, what can I do to change this? And I mean, some things are just going to be based on effort and labor. Sure. But like I just said, I'm bored, I don't have money, I don't have anything to do. I might as well drink some beers. Oh, and then people are buying me the beers, so I keep drinking more beers. Or, I find a really cheap beer that's ridiculously cheap and doesn't taste like shit. Shout out to Colt 45. It ain't malt liquor over here, baby. But it's just one of these things where we all have this issue, and that's why it's in the Bible, it's in the Quran, it's in all the major books, right? And Buddhism even warns you about overindulging in things. I mean, it's one of those top 7 things in the Buddhist philosophy about abstinence of these kinds of seeking of pleasures, right? Because they blind you to enlightenment. So, not a truer statement could be said. I guess that's why I do recognize more in the Buddhist philosophy, because I've been trying my hardest to not overindulge and to be moderate about everything, right? Even when I do get upset over here, but that's wrath, and we won't get into that. But it's just one of these things where I try and stand back from the situation, and instead of hiding in some sort of drink or other thing. And I've talked about this in other blogs for me personally, but this one isn't, this sermon isn't supposed to be about me. It's supposed to just be about the general concept of overindulgence. So, because it is something that's rampant, and I mean worldwide, where possible. Do you know what I mean? Like it's bad. I mean, it's real bad in the West and real bad in Europe. Like holy shit. I mean, way worse in the West than Europe. And I mean, you look at any major city. I mean, there's just junkies in tent cities, looking like shrimp curled up on the ground because they're too fucked up, right? I mean, this is the way the West has gotten, and that's part of why anyone who's sane, who isn't an addict, gets the fuck out. Now, some of you are still bleeding hearts, liberals, oh, I'm going to save them with my crazy policies. No, you're putting more and more people there with your crazy policies. And that's why, like I said, circling back to that recent thing with the Manitoba government, which is a province in Canada, kudos, bro. That is exactly the right answer. You want to have any more new working people to help build your society. And the fact that the government of Canada is openly admitting that there might not even be a Canada in 12 months because they've run out of money. Well, you run out of money because you're giving it away to crazy shit all over the country, right? See, the overindulgence that they're suffering from is the virtue signaling overindulgence. They want to just look like they're the nicest people in the world. We're doing the best. We're morally superior. And that level of overindulgent spending has led to everything just falling apart. Governments should be run like businesses, and your life should be run like a business. And if you overspend in a business, it fails. If you over promote only one product at the detriment of your other products, your business fails. If you only care about the management and not the workers, your business fails, right? Like, it's one of these things where overindulgence isn't necessarily just about drugs and alcohol. And I give an example of chocolate, right? It can be about even bad, destructive thoughts that, holy shit, like, take a step back. Think about what you're doing or saying. Try and fix the problem, I know that this is not the traditional sermon. It's very lax in religion and very chocked full of political commentary, which I don't want to do. This is not a political channel. But it's one of these things where here, like I said, the big indulgence is women. I mean, it's so easy. And if you're from the West and you don't have access, you haven't been cool, you weren't rich there, you weren't sophisticated or charismatic, you didn't get the sweet, young, gorgeous women that exist here. Just even when they're older, they just look better. They got nice tiny bodies. Now, I admit, they go crazy with the tattoos. Another overindulgence, right? Getting 1 or 2 tattoos that are tasteful, that have some symbolic meaning, like I even think it's lame when you're doing it to like a dead family member or something, but whatever. That's me passing judgment, and I'm trying not to, because you can overindulge in judgment. That's when you start getting so pious and so righteous that people can't stand to be around you. I know guys like that, so, it's one of these things where everything in moderation. I guess that's really the gist of this. Sorry, I must get it there. The gist of this Sunday's sermon. So, Um, I'll end it at that. I mean, I think everybody who's watched this 20 minutes understands what I'm talking about when it comes to overindulgence. And if you have the self-critical mind, you should be able to see, what are you overindulging in? Because we're all overindulging in something. So what are you overindulging in? And what is it doing to your life? What changes would happen to your life if you toned it down? I'm not saying you have to go full abstinence. I mean, if you drink and you don't, lose your job and crash your car and treat your family like shit, maybe it's not overindulgence. But if any of those are circumstances that are day to day for you, or you're hungover all the time, that's a clear sign you're drinking too much. Especially if it causes fights, with you and your spouse. So it takes a responsible person to self-police, to self-check themselves and see where their real issues are. And 90% of people's issues are because of their own behaviors, because of things they're doing too much of, that they shouldn't be. That maybe they're only supposed to do a little bit. Being too aggressive, being too assertive, being the opposite, too lenient, too weak. People will walk all over you. They'll smell that bitch, as we call it in the West, And if you're that kind of person, life is hard because you keep getting taken advantage of. And for women, I guess part of it would be, that need to be popular, that need to be accepted, right? I understand that we're all wired differently, men and women, and so women are more emotional creatures, they're more sociable creatures, and that's why you get girls who will go and whack themselves, right? Who will, self-terminate because people are mean to them. I personally don't understand that. But it's that kind of overindulgence in bullying that the other people don't even understand the damage they're doing, right? It's the overindulgence in the person who then, say, self-terminates about caring what random people think. I think I'm getting into other topics. I don't want to get into that. So I'm going to end this at this. Thank you. Have a blessed Sunday, everybody. I hope I'll have service by next Sunday. I am planning to come home for Christmas to Canada because I'm just not making any money here. And I don't want to overindulge in vacationing, overindulge in escapism, because that's what I'm here for, is to escape the ridiculousness of the West. And maybe I need to go and face some of it. Now, I'm not getting back into politics. I'm definitely not going to, get back full time into the rat race, because I think that was killing me. But clearly things aren't working here, and I don't just mean the electricity and the data, but even like the bar in this place sucks, whereas my bar in Jensen is superior in every way. So I don't want to overindulge in an arrogance of success that, I'll just keep plugging away at it until it works, until I'm in such a big hole, I'm in such a deficit that there is no recovery, right? And that's what happens when you overindulge in anything, is that you just keep digging that hole, you keep spiraling down, until eventually, like many of these junkies, you reach a point where there is no coming back. You have cooked your brain, you have short-circuited yourself permanently, you start forgetting things, you lose skills, and most importantly, you lose the people in your lives trust. So, again, like, follow, subscribe. Hit the bell if you can. If you can't, send me a message about that, because it seems to be almost like a 40-60 split, where 60% of you can hit that bell all the time, other 40 can't. I don't know why, and because I have no signal to send YouTube a question, I haven't gotten an answer to the question I sent. And of course, sharing is caring, just on your personal info. Now, I did share some personal info in this, because I'm so sorry, folks. Anyways, I think that the Sunday sermons needs to have a little bit of personal experience attached to them, just so that people can relate. They can see that I'm not sitting on a pulpit condescending others. I'm not without sin. Oh, the lights came back on. Yay! So I'll end it on that. That's a good note for me. Thank you so much for all your support. I hope when I turn on PayPal and Gcash when I can, there's enough money there to maybe buy me a few meals. Who knows? Any news you sent, thank you so much. God bless you. And if there's a topic that you would like to hear on these Sunday sermons, I am willing to, as this one was a case in point from the two gentlemen who asked about it. Before I go back into the sins, I definitely don't want to waste the Christmas season, which has so many good things to preach about, talking about the negatives. I could wait till January for those. So, again, have a great day. Appreciate the likes, appreciate the subscribes. And like I said, sharing, tell me about these videos. There's going to be some religious people who would love to hear these videos. And if you're a religious guy who does these kinds of videos yourself, I'd love to hear from you. And when I'm back in Canada, I'm willing to, like I do here, meet with local bloggers. I'll meet with Canadian ones in the cities I'm in. I'm going to probably be in Edmonton, Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto, maybe Vancouver, northern Vancouver, not the island, mainland. So I have a friend there. So we'll see where I am. But I'll post all that. And of course in the description is my Gcash and my PayPal. And for Canadians, much appreciated. I need transfer sites. So all your support is appreciated. Thank you so much. And have yourself a blessed Sunday.